All right, welcome back everybody. So yesterday I did get some work done. I didn't video any of it. I built those stiffeners you can see attached to that skin I just pulled off there, and then I stuck the skins up on the wings to test fit them. So this is work on both the fuel tanks. I got all of those stiffeners fabricated, cleaned up, ready to go. And now I've got all of the ribs straight, although they don't look very straight. According to Van's video, you want to make sure the holes are straight and you're not as concerned about the ribs having a weird like bend or twist in them. So the holes do make a straight line when you go from one to the other using a straight edge. So all the ribs are straight, they've been fluted, they've been hand seamed as necessary. They are good to go. So now I'm just installing them onto the baffle, and then you have to final size drill the number 30 holes that go in the back of the rib into the baffle. And you have to be really, really careful and make sure you use a drill stop here, because your main spar is right beneath that, and you don't want to go too far and go drilling holes into your spar. So if you remember from the recent video, I destroyed my 12-inch number 30 bit by giving that little right angle drill a few too many beans. New drill bit is on the way. Didn't have it, was feeling a little impatient, so I used a really long extension hex bit and a smaller chuck on the end of it, and put the regular number 30 bit in it, and that worked out. So the very outboard rib of the fuel tank, that one you see me messing with there, can't get to those holes with the leading edges attached. So to get to those, the leading edges have to come back off. I don't have a good spot to store these right now because they're rather large and I'm running out of shelf space. So they're just sitting off to the side while I do what I need to do here. As of me recording this video, I have put them both back up on the wing and reattached them, because that's probably the safest place for them. So anyhow, just watching as I move the clecos and finish drilling those number 30 holes. And then I'll split off and I will focus on the work on the left tank. There's a lot of this I can do together, and then you get to a part where you really just have to dive into one tank and then do the other one. So there's those stiffeners. That's one complete set for one tank, and the other one's already on there. They were on there long enough to final size drill the holes. Now they're coming back off. Numbered them all so I know where they go when I put them back. Peel off the blue vinyl. And try and get these clecoed to the ribs. This skin was definitely a pain to work with. I get why they want you to do this on the wing, because you need those ribs clecoed in place on that rear baffle, so you can't do this in the cradle. Later on when you build it, it'll be built in the cradle. But doing this up there on those ribs was a real pain in the ass. The skin did not want to move and bend into place as nicely as the other leading edge skin. So after a lot of persuasion, I was able to get it all clecoed in place so that I could take it off. There you see the Z brackets. And now it's go through and final size drill all the number 40 holes for all the rivets. And it really is incredible to think that this thing is going to be liquid tight and hold fuel in it later on, when you see just how many holes are in it. I hope this works out. Drilled all the holes. Now I'm marking all the clecos, although I probably really didn't need to do it on this because there's a cleco in every other hole. So once I move them, pretty much every hole that remains needs to be drilled, but good practices. Another thing I did off camera, I tried to get a picture of it. It didn't come out, so I didn't include it in here. but the two little holes in the leading edge of the left leading edge section, you're meant to cut those out and make a slot out of them to stick the stall warning device through for the limit switch. And as I stated before, I've elected not to use that, so I went ahead and put a small piece of that foam I used to close out the tail section, slathered with some epoxy and flocks on the inside to create a little backer for it, and then on the outside I filled the holes with some micro and some epoxy, and then I went and sanded it all down smooth and slapped some primer on it. Came out pretty good. I'll try and get a picture later on. You can barely tell where the holes were once I put any kind of filler on later on and paint this thing. It'll disappear, which is exactly what I wanted. The baffle rivets are countersunk, which is that row you see me working on there, rather than being dimpled. And the reason you countersink all of these holes is so that when you go to put that baffle in later, it's basically the last piece of the puzzle when you're gluing this whole tank together and riveting it together. That baffle goes in last, and what you don't want is to have a whole bunch of dimples on both those edges that you've got to try and put the baffle into cleanly when it's got glue on it. There's just no good way to slide it in there, so they recommend countersinking all of these holes so that the back edge stays perfectly smooth, so later on when I smear the tank sealant on it, it should just slide in there and, you know, make the oozy mess that it's going to make, but hopefully it won't scrape off all of the sealant. And I'm just going through with a rivet, and any of the holes that don't look like I got them perfectly straight or deep enough, I'm checking with a rivet and hitting them again. The skin's only 0.032 thickness, so I've got a little wiggle room to work with, but not a lot. I don't want to overdo it. And now our intrepid builder refers to the plans. Taking a number 19 drill bit. I was looking around because I thought I actually had a number 19 reamer, but I don't. But you take a number 19 drill bit and final size those big holes on the trailing edge. That's where the screws are going to go that attach this to the wing. Same thing with the interconnect that goes between this tank and the leading edge. Those all get dimpled later on, and they'll take countersunk screws, as well as all those Z-brackets on that baffle there will be bolted to the spar itself. So there's decent amount of attachment between this thing and the spar, which, I mean, there has to be. This thing's going to have a whole lot of sloshing around weight in it. Anyhow, all I got left is clean up the edges, deburr all the holes, dimple everything, and then do the same thing again on the other one to get it all ready. I probably won't film the other one since it'll look just like this, but I'll start filming again when it's something different and new. Hope you all enjoyed. See you on the next one.